Judy Nadler, Senior Fellow in Government Ethics at the Markkula Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University. And I'm pleased to be joined today by Sharon Erickson. Sharon is the auditor for the city of San Jose, California, which is the capital of Silicon Valley and one of the largest and most progressive cities in the country. Sharon, thank you so much for joining me today. I am very interested in the whole idea of a city auditor, and I'm wondering how you as the city auditor determine at what point you're going to look into either someone's expenses or a department's activities. What's your trigger?
Well, the City of San Jose has an ethics policy, so we have an employee ethics policy. We also have a whistleblower hotline. And the city attorney and I participate with the whistleblower hotline, hear what types of calls are coming into the hotline on at least a quarterly basis. Out of that, we may get suggestions for where we need to go and what we need to look into. The other thing is that we are basically performance auditors, so we're auditing city programs. In the course of doing that, we may run into an ethical issue. We may run into instances of fraud, of inequity in the delivery of services, which is another way to look at ethics. So part of it would be looking at somebody's travel expenses. On the other hand, it may be looking at the equity with which the city delivers traffic calming services around the city. So our view of ethics can take a number of different turns. Yeah. Our audit work plan is decided by the council once a year. There are generally anywhere, probably around 20 to 25 projects on our work plan. So they can run the gamut of something that's more directly related to finding fraud in the organization, or something that is really about service delivery.
How would you determine what is considered a person's public life versus what their private life is? Does that ever come up as an issue?
It would come up in the sense that me and my staff, first off, have to be seen. In order for us to have credibility as auditors, we have to be seen as independent and objective. So the public has to see us and to view our reports, to have trust in our reports. We have to be seen as credible. And that means that any public positions that we would take, it becomes a little dicey. We have to be seen as apolitical in a way, so that we can be trusted to go in and review city services. We end up auditing in different areas. You know, for example, we did a recent audit of retiree travel. So this was retirement services travel to conferences. There's a different standard in the public sector for the way that you treat tax money when you're traveling on city business. You cannot extend a trip for a day. You cannot bring your family along and ask the taxpayer to pay for that. Or in a private organization, the boss might say, sure, you can spend an extra day on the beach, don't worry about it. In the public sector, we can't do that. When we did our recent audit, we did find those kinds of instances, and we had to go back to those folks, working with the city's Office of Employee Relations, to make sure that the taxpayers were reimbursed for any of those types of expenses. So it isn't that somebody can't extend a trip, it's that we can't have the taxpayers pay for that extension of the trip. There can be no perception of personal benefit.
So when something like that happens, it obviously makes the news, and we don't want to shoot the messenger because you've delivered that news. What steps do you take in your office to basically handle bad news?
Well, it's an interesting question because I wrestle with that question all the time. My job is to find the problems, to force government to fess up to it publicly. It's a very difficult situation. No manager who runs a program wants to see their name on the front page of the paper with bad news. At the same time, it's my firm belief that if government doesn't fess up to the problems, taxpayers are smart. They know that there are issues. What we try to do is make a recommendation for a solution. We work with staff on what that solution will be. So at the same time as we're presenting a report that outlines the problems, we're presenting a proposed solution to those problems to make sure that we've corrected whatever went wrong and that we've done our best to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Sharon.
Thank you.